Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDNTV Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button and be the first to get notifications. And now, let's join ace broadcaster MAMODE AKUGHA as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, MAMODE AKUGHA. We begin from the NDDC. The Niger Delta Development Commission has intensified its monitoring and evaluation of projects as part of efforts to improve on service delivery to communities in Nigeria's oil-rich region. NDDC Executive Director of Projects, Charles Ogumola, made this known recently during an inspection tour of the Commission's projects in Abia State.
Following the renewed commitment of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, to the completion of stalled and ongoing projects, Executive Director in charge of projects, Mr. Charles Ogumola, recently embarked on an inspection tour of projects in Abia State. As part of his working visit to the state, Mr. Ogumola went to inspect an abandoned electrification project awarded by the NDDC to provide electricity for several communities in Abia and Rivers states. The NDDC Executive Director of Projects and his team discovered that the power transmission substation in Ukwa West local government area had been vandalized by hoodlums due to its abandoned state.
This is a power station that's been abandoned for the past 17, 18 years. But you can see from the fundamentals, there is a reason why we may need to revisit. Although our state office will work with the state, will work with the community, and will work with the local government to determine what those reasons are and why this will contend for our attention and the relatively small amount of funds we have to exercise development across the region.
The NDDC project inspection team also made a stop at the dilapidated section of the Port Harcourt-Aba Expressway, which has been in a deplorable state for several years. He said the intervention agency would liaise with the Federal Ministry of Works and other partners to carry out urgent remediation work on the road to allow for free flow of traffic.
I do understand the Federal Ministry of Work have it on their radar to address at some point in time. But right now we need a solution. So I think we'll be sitting down discussing how we can achieve an immediate solution, which will be a palliative type of getting it to motorable, and then there will be a short to medium-term solution.
The NDDC project management team also went to assess the pace and quality of work done so far on the 9-kilometer Obei-Okikpe road in Ukwa West local government area of Abia State. Awarded in April 2022, the road, which is at its completion state, connects Abia to Akwa Ibom and a number of other states in the southeast and south-south geopolitical zones. While addressing his team at the Abia State office of the NDDC, Mr. Ogumola said the tour of project sites was part of efforts to rev off the Commission's project's monitoring and evaluation policy to improve on its service delivery.
This is, one in our many steps to ensure that we are in sync with the development needs of the region. We will continue on the weekly, monthly, quarterly basis to inspect sites, not only those completed, but all those work in progress. And as we go along, those that we are just about to start, we'll be on site, seeing exactly what our partners are doing, assisting them where they're having difficulties, and pushing them along where we're having delays.
The NDDC Executive Director Project expressed satisfaction with the pace and quality of work done on the Obei-Okikpe Road, which is almost at 100% completion stage and is already in use. He said the project would be commissioned as soon as possible.
Inside the Niger Delta. Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, making a difference.
Few weeks ago, residents of Ijakpo Estate, located in the heart of AKUGHA, the Ondo State capital, had lauded the Niger Delta Development Commission for the donation of solar-powered street lights. This time, they are celebrating the successful completion of an internal road rehabilitation project in the estate, courtesy of the NDDC, as our correspondent now reports.
Ijakpo Estate is a low-density residential area in AKUGHA, the Ondo State capital, built by the state government to provide decent and affordable housing. The estate is a one-stop shop for real estate and hospitality business. Over the years, hoteliers and other business owners began to lose patronage due to the deplorable state of roads in the estate. This prompted the NDDC to award a contract for the rehabilitation of 2.7 kilometers of road in 2019. The road rehabilitation project covers several streets in Ijakpo Estate, which have become motorable. Residents say the NDDC intervention has revived commerce in the estate and its environs.
The business is not moved very well because of bad road, but immediately the NDDC entered the community and start work. We see that many people are doing the best thing to improve the business.
State, NDDC be a great value to the people of Ondo State, especially in Ijakpo here, and we pray that God will continue to help them to continue their work.
The excited residents who are satisfied with the quality of the project say it has made life a lot easier for them.
It has drastically enhanced mobility. Before now, where motorists find it difficult to move around, but NDDC this time around, under the leadership of Dr. Sam Ogbuku, in fact, he has done wonderfully well for the people of Ondo State, and we commend him.
The road rehabilitation project is accompanied with the installation of solar-powered street lights, which illuminate Ijakpo Estate at night. Residents affirm that the NDDC intervention has improved security as well as the aesthetic appeal of the estates.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Veteran journalist and Niger Delta activist Elder Asubex has asked the federal government to properly fund the NDDC and grant it executive powers to enable it deliver on its mandate independent of the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. Elder Asubex spoke to Inside the Niger Delta recently in Lagos.
The Ministry of Niger Delta is now overseeing the NDDC. What we need to do is to strengthen the NDDC, give them executive power so that whoever is appointed a managing director or the management team, they can work independent of an interference from the Ministry of Niger Delta.
The Niger Delta activist also called for the release of the NDDC forensic audit report, which is expected to strengthen operations of the intervention agency.
For President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to get it right, we'll go back to that audit report, that forensic audit report. We want that report released immediately so that we can know those who have been the enemies of the Niger Delta region.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Bayelsa State Governor Senator Doye Diri says the state is in dire need of assistance from the federal government to tackle the menace of coastal erosion and flood ravaging riverine communities. Senator Diri made the observation recently when he visited Odioma in Brass local government area of the state to assess the environmental impacts of a perennial coastal erosion on the community.
In the last 10 years, no fewer than 250 houses have been submerged in water due to constant ocean surge along the shores of Odioma community in Brass local government area of Bayelsa State. This unfortunate incident has left hundreds of families internally displaced and desolate. Many fear that the entire community may go into extinction if nothing is done to stop the Atlantic Ocean from unleashing its fury on Odioma community. Recently, Governor Doyediri visited the endangered community to have a first-hand knowledge of the calamity that has become the lot of its residents. The governor, who described the impact of the coastal erosion as devastating, promised that his government would embark on a 1.5-kilometer shore protection project to provide succor for the community.
We must take our destiny into our hands. We cannot be waiting for outsiders to come and act. We have to first of all act ourselves. We know the cost will be prohibitive. We know the cost will be beyond the state government. However, the state government must start something.
Odioma is not the only casualty of coastal erosion in Bayelsa State. Several communities like Ogbogoro, Kolama, Age, and Sangana have lost vast parcels of land and buildings to ocean surge in recent years. Governor Diri calls on the federal government to come to the aid of Bayelsa State, which does not have enough resources to intervene in the plight of the communities.
I therefore use this opportunity to again call the federal government of Nigeria that whilst with our meager resources we will start to do something here, we want them to also be part of the story of stopping the encroachment of the sea in Odioma and other communities. Bayelsa State has given so much to the federal government of Nigeria. Let there be reciprocity.
Governor Diri has also called on the federal government to complete the East-West Road reconstruction project without any further delay. He made the call recently when he received members of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on East-West Road to Government House Yenagoa. The Bayelsa State Governor said it had become imperative to complete the East-West Road reconstruction project, which was critical to the economic survival of states in Nigeria's South-South geopolitical zone.
The only road that traverses the whole of the South-South states is the East-West Road. The last flood, Bayelsa State was totally cut off from the rest of civilization. The reason being that the East-West Road between Rivers and Bayelsa was cut off. The East-West Road between Delta and Bayelsa was cut off. So there was no supply of food, no supply of water. And so we are like in a war situation. And thereafter, up till today, those parts that were cut off have not been addressed. And so your committee, your ad hoc committee, is very timely.
Earlier, Chairman of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on East-West Road, Senator Abdul Ningi, said the senators were on a tour of the South-South states to ascertain the level of work done on the East-West Road.
The reason why we're here is to take a first-hand look at the East-West Road, the current status, and to find out what happened or what is happening with the road that has started over a decade ago, with a view to reporting to the Senate so that the Senate will now propose from a vintage point of appropriation to the executive. We want this road completed.
The 338-kilometer East-West Road has been under construction in the past 17 years. The slow pace of work is attributed to inadequate funding by successive federal administrations. Governor Diri and other leaders in the Niger Delta look up to the government of President Bola Tinubu to demonstrate the political will required to complete the East-West Road reconstruction project.
Inside the Niger Delta, Ezekiel Group, oil and gas, dredging, power and air transportation. Ezekiel Group, petroleum product sufficiency, energy sustainability and infrastructure development.
Located in the Niger Delta are scores of oil-producing communities which, in spite of their immense contributions to Nigeria's economic survival for many decades, have remained largely backward. In this report, our correspondent takes a look at the crisis of underdevelopment in Bakana community, Degema local government area of Rivers State.
Bakana is one of the largest Kalabari towns in Rivers State, Nigeria. An important landmark in Bakana's history is the quality of men and women it has produced. Notably, Ambassador Joe Iyala, Nigeria's #1 diplomat, who spearheaded the country's robust foreign policy in the 1970s. Bakana is one of the 14 Kalabari host communities to oil companies operating in the Cotton Channel. Ironically, it remains one of the most underdeveloped communities in the Niger Delta. Although the island town of Bakana is only a few kilometers away from Port Harcourt, it is inaccessible by road from the Rivers State capital. Residents of Bakana wonder why the federal government cannot replicate in their community a third mainland bridge and the proposed fourth mainland bridge in Lagos State.
We need road. 13-14 minutes, we are in Port Harcourt and we are suffering all these things, which is very bad.
I believe when you are coming, if you have your wash, if you have your time, you will see that we are very close to Port Harcourt. We are suffering.
Speedboats are the conventional means of transport within Bakana and its immediate vicinity of Port Harcourt. Soki Alaye Davis, a local boat driver, says they are unsafe and pose many security threats along the waterways.
We have problem of pirates, sea pirates disturbing us. And as you are driving, we lack security. So the passengers we are carrying are also in danger. Our boats are also in danger. But because of that, we are using one slogan: safety for me, safety for you, safety for all. We educate our drivers, we educate our passengers when they are on boat, not to panic when they see certain things, so as not to make the boat capsize or any other thing. The other challenges we are having is we don't have good jetty, because it is a risky jetty. The jetty is risky for passenger to board a boat. They might fall off. For that reason, we enforce law on passengers to wear life vests first before boarding any boat.
Owing to its isolated existence, Bakana town is utterly bereft of commercial activity. The sleepy town is also faced with a crisis of underdevelopment, as basic amenities like electricity, potable water, and healthcare are not within the reach of residents. A primary healthcare center built by the Rivers State government is the only healthcare facility the town can boast of. Unfortunately, the health center has been abandoned and completely deserted.
We go for antenatally last Wednesday of the month, and sometimes the nurses, they come, but most times they will complain that there is no transport, so they don't come. Even the doctors.
There is nothing. If maybe there is emergency, let me just now, maybe you are here, somebody here that there is emergency, the person will just die off because no doctor, no nothing. And the place is not even well equipped.
Inside the Niger Delta made several unsuccessful efforts to get Honorable Michael John Williams, chairman of Degema Council area in Rivers State, to comment on the backward state of Bakana. However, he did not respond to calls and messages requesting for an interview. It goes without saying that the level of deprivation in Bakana calls for the urgent attention of government at all levels to address what is obviously a crisis of underdevelopment in the community.
Inside the Niger Delta.
The ongoing demolition of illegal buildings and structures blocking waterways across major towns and cities in Delta State will be thorough and spare no sacred cows. Director General Special Duties, Delta State Government House, Chief Frank Omare made the declaration recently when he led a team of state officials to supervise the demolition of illegal structures in Warri and Efun, both in Warri South and Uya local government areas of Delta State.
Officials of the Delta State government recently supervised the demolition of buildings erected along natural drains, obstructing free flow of water across communities in Warri South and Uye local government areas of the state. Director General of Special Duties Government House, Chief Frank Omare, who led the team, said the exercise was in preparation for this year's anticipated flood outbreak as predicted by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET. In an interview with Inside the Niger Delta, Chief Omari observed that most of the affected buildings were not approved by relevant authorities.
When we consult with the State Ministry of Lands and Survey, a lot of those structures are not given approvals. So it means that the owners did approval by themselves, erected it and destroyed the environment and discomforting millions of Deltans. And as government, we are going around. We're using local town criers, we're using our languages so that everybody now knows exactly why government wants to take this action.
With the onset of last year's flood, Delta State became one of the most impacted states nationwide. In NIMET 2023 flood alert, the state falls within the probable flood risk areas, a situation that is giving the state government serious concern about safety of lives and properties. Chief Omari told reporters that there would be no sacred cows in the ongoing demolition exercise.
We are going to be very, very strict. No relation, no tribal person, no ethnic person. We are going to do it the way we should do it. Because if nobody has done it day before yesterday, and nobody did it yesterday, and nobody has done it today, then we will do it tomorrow.
Chief Omari said he was aware that some persons were already blackmailing the state government over the ongoing demolition exercise. He, however, noted that no amount of blackmail would stop the government of Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori from doing the right thing.
I am appealing to all Deltas that clearly blackmail cannot stop Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori-led government to be shy. 10 years ago, we brought down a school in Saple. That's a government school. In Saple, we brought the school down because it was really on the waterway. It's for the benefit of the larger population of our people.
The ongoing demolition of illegal buildings obstructing free flow of water along drainage channels is in line with Governor Oborewori's directive as part of mitigative measures against this year's anticipated flood in Delta State. State officials say the ongoing demolition exercise will be carried out across all flood-prone communities in the state.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Wife of the Delta State Governor, Dickiness Tobore Oborewori, has officially launched her pet project, You Matter charity organization, to advance the cause of women and girls in the state. During the launch recently in Asaba, Dickiness Oborewori observed that it will also address other issues to complement Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori's vision for Delta State.
At a recent meeting with leaders of various women groups, wife of the Delta State Governor, Dickiness Tobore Oborewori, officially launched her pet project, You Matter charity organization. During the meeting, she outlined the objectives of her pet project, which are intended to advance the cause of women and girls and complement the vision of her spouse.
No, my husband has promised Deltans that he will do more with his more agenda, which is meaningful development, opportunity for all, realistic reform, enhanced peace and security. I'm towing the same line with my husband to support him with my pet project, to do greater things that will take Delta State to greater height. To achieve it, I need the help of each and every one of you. And I want us to be together as one big family.
Shortly after the official launch of her pet project, Dickiness Oborewori flagged off the World Breastfeeding Week in Asaba to raise awareness on the benefits of breastfeeding for mothers and babies. In line with the theme of this year's Breastfeeding Week, the First Lady of Delta State urged working mothers and housewives to observe exclusive breastfeeding for at least 6 months.
The exclusive breastfeeding wey dem talk, so no water, no anything, only the breast, no formula at all, only the breast na you go give the pikin. That breast dey do wonder for the body. E get many benefits wey that breast dey do for pikin body. So as you dey give your pikin, you no go see say you go buy tablet, you go chemist or you go hospital, you wan go give your pikin medicine and lie. Na the breast na go dey do the wonder. You go even surprise say I no get money, see the way my pikin be.
Some mothers who witnessed the recent flag off of this year's Breastfeeding Week in Asaba lauded the initiative of Dickiness Oborewori.
for this idea God has put into her to share to us, we mothers. I pray that God will continue to bless her. God will continue to give her the knowledge and understanding because it's really helping us.
I want to appreciate her. She's the best. I love her already. I love this exercise she's doing.
Deaconess Oborewori later proceeded to Irene in Ughelli North local government area of Delta State to launch a campaign for menstrual hygiene. At the campaign tagged "Every Female Deserves a Pad," Deaconess Oborewori encouraged young girls to always use sanitary pads during their monthly menstrual cycles.
When I get on a period, when they use this sanitary pad, you know say the country soft well. Say money not do. Sanitary pad now we don't get different type. Cheap one day, the one you fit afford day. When the time for your period don't reach, then you use them.
After interacting with young girls at Irene, the First Lady of Delta State, through her pet project, distributed pads and other sanitary items to them. In appreciation of her exemplary leadership qualities, wife of the Delta State Governor was decorated as Grand Patron of the Association of Spouses of Lawmakers in Delta State.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Well, that's the size of our package on the program for today. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, will be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles showing right now on your screen. And please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDNTV Nigeria. We leave you now with pictures from the unveiling of Barrister Ekumaru as Governor Hope Uzodima's running mate in the Imo State gubernatorial elections scheduled to take place on the 11th of November 2023. Barrister Ekumaru replaces incumbent Deputy Governor Professor Placid Njoku. Imo State and Bayelsa State are two oil-producing states in the Niger Delta where gubernatorial elections are scheduled to take place later in the year. Until next week, I am MAMODE AKUGHA thanking you for staying tuned. Bye for now.
The stakeholders are aware of why this particular decision was taken, because the process of choosing her was all-inclusive. I plead with all of us to accept and make peace with it. And I don't have any problem with my deputy governor, Professor Placid Njoku. He is a very loyal and committed partner in progress.